All right. Fellas, this is a tier list. This is going to be pointed towards solo queue, just to be clear. I might bring up comp here and there, but this is going to be pointed towards solo queue. This is going to be like my thoughts. We've had the Argus patch for almost a week now. I feel like I've got a fairly decent read. Not a crazy amount of hero changes went through. So it's mostly just like Argus, like a couple of item changes, right? Assassin items, that kind of stuff. And we'll jump right into it. All right. Countess. I almost want to put this character in A tier. For the last, I don't know, 4 tier lists that I've done, I've put Countess in B tier because this is how I like to do my B tier, which is like a situational pick, or if you're a specialist. If you're a Countess one trick and you're really good at this character, I think you can play her a lot and win a lot of games. If you are not good at Countess, I don't think you will win very many games on this character. But I do think she's solid. Like, right now I think Countess is actually better than she has been in a while. Like, I almost want to put her in A tier. But I'm not sold on that. So I think I will leave her in B right now. Crunch has actually fallen off a little bit for me. I think this character is really bad late game. I legitimately, even in solo queue, like in competitive, I think this character is extra bad late game. General or a role list. This general tier list, and this is again solo queue. This character, Crunch's laning phase is immaculate. This character has a fantastic laning phase. But once you get to late game, even in solo queue, I feel like you're so punishable. Like, I mean, if you get hit by 1 CC, you just die. I just don't think I do think he has really good laning phase. Late game, if you're big, you can kind of do what you want. But if you're ever playing a Crunch who has to engage, I'm not sold on this character. I don't think I think he has good CC. He can be really disruptive. I'm just not sold on him being higher than A tier. Decker, I think Decker fell off a little bit with the addition of Argus. As a support, I think she is fine. She still does the same things Decker has always done. You have big Rifties combos available to you. You have a really good cage, right? Stun ball. You can fish for hooks or fish for, stun ball ult, and you can run people down. I still think she's very solid, but I do think she fell off a little bit. Drongo, I actually think Drongo is one of the better carries right now. I actually think this character is very, very good. When they changed his passive to hit objectives, I think that this character now, like, you can two-man objectives with this character. You can two-man prime, you can two-man primal with Drongo, just because of how much his passive shreds objectives. I think that's really, I do think that's quite valuable, but he's also just so safe, good in lane, decent wave clear. I think this character is really... Feng Mao, same spot, man. I thought for sure that with the assassin item changes, Feng Mao would jump up the tier list. And I do think he is slightly better than he was before, but I don't think he's good enough to be played every game. In the jungle, I think this character is good. I think he's probably better in the jungle than he is in solo lane. Actually, I take that back. I almost think this character is better in solo lane right now. He bullies out a lot of characters that have really weak early games, like Crunch, Greystone. I think he bullies those characters pretty well. And then he has really good rotations. I just don't think you can play him every game. I don't think that the changes to some of the assassin items actually buffed this character as much as I thought they would. So I'm not sold. Gadget, really slow. In solo queue, like, the odds that you get to 10 minutes without one of your lanes inting is pretty low. If your team is winning the game, everyone else on your team is winning the game, Gadget will feel really, really good. But as soon as you have one or even two other people on your team losing the game, then this character feels terrible. She's just, I don't know, man. She's just a little too slow. I don't think you get active enough early in solo queue. I think that's a detriment. I think she's playable and competitive in certain situations, like into Grux or into Greystone, but I don't think she's awesome. Gideon, Is Gideon A+? Yeah, I think he is. I think he probably is. This character does one thing that no other mid laner does, which is he has a get out of jail free button. Right? Even other characters that have like decent mobility, like Howitzer, right, who have good gank avoidance, like they don't do what Gideon Portal does, and that's just really valuable. You nuke waves, you can walk away, you have a really strong ultimate, you have good burst damage. Like this character is just really solid in solo queue. Solo queue Greystone. I don't know. I think this character, my opinion on Greystone has dropped actually quite a bit. I do think he's still good. If you are ahead on this character, I think he's insane. If you are behind on this character, I think he's borderline useless. I kind of want to keep him in A tier. I wouldn't play him in the jungle, really. I would really only play him in the solo lane right now. I think he has some good matchups. I think he has some bad matchups. I don't know, man. I think he's just all right. Grux, I think he's just the better version of Greystone right now, legitimately. Like, I don't know. I even want to still put Grux in A tier because I don't think Grux is an A+ tier solo laner. And I wouldn't really play him in the jungle. I think I'll put him in A tier. I think Grux is just a better version of Greystone. They do very similar things, which is walk at the back line. I just think Grux does it better. I just think Grux is this character, but better. He punishes better early game. He has better poke. He has better matchups into tanks. Like, I just think he is everything Greystone wants to be. I think Howitzer is nuts. I'm close to putting Howie into S tier. I think Howitzer's nuts right now. This character, you just, especially in solo queue, you just have such free kill setup, man. If you boop one person in a fight, if you hit a boop on a squishy on the enemy team, they instantly die. Like, your team doesn't even have to be good, and that person instantly dies, and that's so valuable. You have a delete button on your ultimate, right? If the enemy carry is ever in ultimate range, you just kill them. They instantly die to your ult. Nuts. You know, I think this character is really, really strong. Good laning phase, good poke. Some mana issues early, but if you can get a river buff at 3 minutes, then you're completely fine. I think this character is really... Kallari. Just Countess tier, man. I think the same thing. I don't think she got giga buffed with the assassin items as I kind of thought she would. I think if you're a Kallari specialist, if you're like a one trick or you play a lot of Kallari, I don't doubt that you can get away with it. I still think she's a fine character. I don't think she needs buffed. I just think she's really situational. I think she's bad into a lot of really good characters right now. And I wouldn't, like me personally, I wouldn't play her every game. If you are a Kallari one trick, then I don't doubt you can get away with it. And it might just be, I'm not very good at Kallari, right? That could be it. But I don't think she's insane. Chimera, I think one of the better junglers right now. Benefits maybe the most from jungle camp changes, actually. I mean, this character's jungle clear now is pretty nuts. If you're maxing Q, you can, like, clear 5 camp and 2 camp at the same time at, like, level 5. I mean, it's kind of nuts, right? I think this character benefited really a lot from the jungle changes. Like, one of the few characters to truly benefit from it. And I think that's pretty valuable. So I think this character is pretty good. Solo's objectives, you always have objective control on this character. Really good in solo queue because you know your teammates aren't going to go to that Fangtooth. So you can pull that and you can be just fine. Kira. I actually think Kira isn't bad right now. I think that you have to know how to play Kira. I think Kira's a little bit harder to play than a lot of the other carries. Your trading pattern is a little bit different, right? You have to build crit on this character. Just, you cannot, I don't think you can really go on hit on Kira. I think it's bad. I think you just go crit. She has a dash. She has a slow, but I think she's just okay. I think she's just okay. Belica, still broken, in my opinion. Still broken. Frame 1 stun plus bomb plus delete button ultimate. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think this character legitimately... I think she will continue to be broken until they change her kit. I do think, I will say, asterisk, I think she got a little bit worse after the last round of nerfs to her right click. I do think that they made her worse. I don't think it's enough to stop Belica from being really, really good. Morigesh, I think this character is dog shit. Don't play Morigesh. There's no reason to play this character. Urdoc, I think probably the best carry in the game. Actually. I actually think I'd rather have a Murdoch on my team than a Twin Blast. I think Murdoch is probably the best carry. Your ultimate is so good. He works... dude, a Nixian Quiver plus Demolisher on this character means that tanks don't exist. You have pretty good peel for yourself between your own traps, your pushback, your dash, your movement speed. Global ultimate and solo queue is just like... if you can pay attention, you don't even really need your teammates to do a lot. If you can pay attention, and you don't even have to get the kill, but if you snipe for assists and stuff like that, just get damage. You can give your team free kills. You can get some kills. He just gets ahead. This character is just really good, I think. Aerial. I almost want to put her in C tier, but I think she's slightly better than that. Lane bully. Late game, if you get dove, you die. Your positioning has to be really good. Your carry's positioning has to be really good. Your ultimate's really good for setting up dives, but then it can be risky if you ever fall behind on this character. Like, if your team is behind, I think Muriel is bad. If your team is ahead, I do think she's kind of a win more character. Really good in lane. After lane, she gets a little bit worse. I think she's just okay. Narbash, I think just a slightly better version of Muriel. They keep nerfing this character's healing, which is bad, but I still think that between his movement speed and his, he has really consistent crowd control from his thunk. I think those two things will keep this character fairly viable. I think some bad matchups like Bellica support, Argus support into Narbash, right, that kind of stuff. But I think he's still pretty solid. FaZe. In solo queue, I'm going to put FaZe in C tier. I don't think this character does anything in solo queue. I don't think she does a damn thing in solo queue. In competitive, I think there are situations where she's playable, but it's just like, why would I play this character in solo queue? I just don't understand. Like, I don't know. I think this character, I don't think she's that bad even. That's the thing. Like, statistically, I don't think she's bad, but I don't think she's good in solo queue. You're just playing pocket the carry, and if you ever get behind or your carry ever gets behind, you're useless. You don't get to play the game anymore. So I don't know. I think Rampage is probably... I think he's probably the best jungler in the game right now. Rampage, I think, is nuts. They nerfed Rampage last patch. He could drop to A+. We'll see where I put everyone else. I think this character is insane. You just bully people so bad. Like, you get, like, Augmentation or Basilisk first, and then you just bully people, and it's so free. I mean, you walk at them, you rock them, they die. And it's just so easy. So, I don't know. I think this character is really, really good. Revenant, like, borderline unplayable, honestly. If you aren't 5-0 at 10 minutes, you will not play the game until 45 minutes on Revenant. I don't think this character is... without a lead, Revenant is not a character. He does... his passive gives him a lot of comeback potential, because if you're 0-5 and the enemy carry is 5-0 and you get a kill on them, you get a fuck ton of gold from it, right? You do get a shit ton of extra gold. And that's valuable, but I just don't think this character is very good right now. He doesn't kill tanks until giga late game. Other carries are just kind of better at that job. I just don't know why you would really play Revenant right now. Richter, I think I'm going to put Richter in A+. I think Richter normally goes in S tier, but I think right now he's a little bit worse than he has been in the past. I'm not sold. Like, I still think Richter's really good. You can play him solo lane. You can play him in the jungle. You can play him in support. You can fucking play the character in mid lane, honestly. I mean, the character is good, but I don't think he's, like, giga broken right now, you know? I don't think he's S tier. I think he's, like, a very good A+ hero. You can definitely carry games on this character just by hitting hooks. I think he's okay. Seraph. This is an interesting one, because as a jungler, I would put her in B tier. But as a solo laner, I would almost put her in A tier. I think this character is better in the solo lane than she is in the jungle. And I don't even think it's super close. I think she's considerably better in the solo lane. Which is good. I like it. I think she's fun. They increased her mana regen. They gave her right click more scaling. They did nerf her ultimate, but I don't think it matters a crazy amount. You just play this character in solo lane and you bully tanks. You play her into, you know, Sev, even Richter, Steel, Bang Mao, right? Characters that you can, if you can Q, you can dodge a lot of damage. You just play them into them. And then this character is nuts. You just run them down in the solo lane. I think she's a very good solo laner. As a jungler, probably B tier. Oh, I like that. Severog. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think risky to play in solo queue. If you get a bad lane matchup, the odds of you getting enough jungle help to make your lane fine are low in solo queue. Like, if you draft a bad lane matchup in offlane in solo queue, the odds that your jungler helps you through that matchup are pretty low, and you just kind of have to accept that. So I think in the solo lane, probably A tier. Like, bad matchups that if you get a bad matchup, you kind of just lose. As a jungler, I would maybe move him to A+. I do think he's good in the jungle, but I think even as a jungler, he's probably A tier. Because if you play against like an enemy like Chimera or something like that, or a Rampage, they can just invade you for free early game. I mean, like before level 6, they just invade you for free. And that, if they know how to do that, you lose the game. So I think he's probably an A tier character. Shinbi. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to put her in B tier. Part of my issue with ranking this character is that I think I'm bad at Shinbi. So it's hard for me to say exactly where I think she goes. But I think B tier is fine. I think she's better in the offlane than she is in the jungle. But she's situational. I mean, you have to pick her into a matchup that you want to play. Like, I would really only play Shinbi into, like, Grux, Steel, maybe Greystone. Like, that's kind of it. Outside of that, I just don't see the value in this character. Steel. I actually don't want to put Steel in S tier. I actually don't think this character is S tier right now. I think this character's fallen off quite a bit. I think he's still good in the solo lane. I think he's good in the jungle. I think he's very playable in support. And I think that, I don't know, man. I think that he's still good in all of those roles. I just don't think he's quite as, like, insufferable to play against as he was before. Like, I do think the nerfs hit him a decent amount. I do think, like, Quang is really good against him, right? That drops him a little bit. I still think he's good, but he's not the end-all, be-all anymore. This character has been nerfed 10 bajillion patches in a row, right? It's starting to get to the point where it's stacking up. Faye? Probably A tier. This, again, so the character has a really strong ultimate, and you can win team fights off of it. She has really good 1v1s, right? But I actually don't think I'd rather have a Faye than a Howitzer. Like, I think even in terms of solo queue and trying to carry games as a mid laner, I think I'd rather have a Howitzer than a Faye, even a Gideon, right? Like, I think this character is fine. I think she is still, like, a good character. But I don't think she matches these other mid laners up here. Twin Blast, probably a top 3 carry right now with Drongo and Murdoch. Shreds tanks, good mobility, good wave clear. You can Cringe Blast build his back, by the way. You can build that. It's pretty solid. I think this character, like, he just kind of is an all-arounder. And that's really good. That's really good. Zarus. Zarus has fallen off for me a little bit. I think this character is really good for about 8 or 9 levels. And then I think he falls off really hard into, like, the mid and late game if you aren't ahead. At least, again, as an offlaner, at least. In the jungle, I think he's maybe a little bit better because it's easier to get ahead. But I think as an offlaner, I think he's just okay. I think he falls off. Again, he just falls off a lot harder than a lot of the other offlaners. I think that can be quite detrimental. Sparrow. Sparrow got some pretty big buffs in the last patch. I think she is out of B tier. I think she is out of B tier. I think she is into A tier. I think she's playable. You can't play like an idiot. You have to play this character smart. You have to play this character like a carry with no mobility, right? I mean, you have to play this character the way she's intended. But she is a hyper carry, and I do think she does a crazy amount of damage. So I think she's all right. Wraith. I'm going to put Wraith in A+. I haven't done a crazy amount of testing on Wraith yet with his new changes, but I still think he's really good. I think he's just good. I think he's good in carry. I think he's still solid in mid lane. Still does a lot of damage. Rewind is a really good ability. Has invis, right? I think this character is really good. Really safe farmer, right? Just farm from your tower line with your snipe. I think he's still really good. I don't know if he's S tier right now. Iggy, I think Iggy is borderline useless. I just don't think this character is good, man. You never see an Iggy that's like 10-0 hard carrying a game. It doesn't happen. And I think in solo queue, literally not having the ability to do that is bad. You don't have to be 10-0 every game, but having zero ability to carry a game like that, I think is bad. In competitive, I think this character is very nichely pickable. I think he is a worse version of Gadget most of the time. But I just think that in solo queue, I just think he is borderline useless. I just like he's in this tier. These are 4 characters in the game right now that I think are borderline useless most games. And I just think that I just don't know. Quang, S tier. This character is broken. They didn't really buff him. He got some shifts last patch. I think he got some of his damage taken down, but he got like some more survivability. I think it's really good. Like, I think this character, I think he was S tier before. I think he's still S tier now. I think he's insane. I just think this is one of the best characters in the game. And then Argus, probably the best character in the game. Play it support, play it mid. I think it's fine in the off lane. You can play it carry, man. I don't give a fuck. This character is just nuts. I think his best role is support at the moment, unless they nerf some of his E or his Q, unless they nerf his stun or his slow. I think this character will continue to be S tier in support. I think his second best role is probably mid, and then I do think he's decent in the off lane into certain matchups. But as a support and a mid laner, I think he's S tier. This character is just nuts. He just does too much. His kit's bloated. He does everything. And yeah, he's nuts. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Argus. If you guys haven't been playing the game for the last week, just play one game against Argus support and then tell me what you guys think about Argus support. Because it's just nuts. Quang is almost the best champ in the game. I think, again, I don't really have the tiers ordered. Like, the tiers are not ordered left to right. I think Quang is like a top 3 character. Like, if I really had to say top 3, like in solo queue, it'd probably be something like this. Like, probably Argus, Quang, Ramp. Quang support. Quang support can work. I don't think it's awesome, but I don't think it's terrible. Rampage is good now. I think Rampage has been good. If you ask anyone from EU, they will tell you that Rampage is the best character in the game and that NA is dumb for not figuring it out.